and welcome to Sunday morning book chat. I have not been around for a really long time. I'm sorry. I'll explain that in just a second, but for now, check out this platter of books that I have for you today that I'm going to talk about. So if you want to hear about any of these books that you could probably see right now, stay tuned because I'm going to go through them. Some of them, I think, are these all? Yes, I have read all of these. And so I'm going to go through and talk to you about the books. So stay tuned. So you're probably wondering where I've been. Megan, why aren't you making these videos? And there's lots of reasons for that. First reason, sometimes I just don't know what to talk about. Do you guys want to hear about the books I'm reading? Do you guys want to hear about the books I'm excited about? I don't know. I don't want to bore you guys, so I haven't known what to talk about. The other thing is, and I think I mentioned this in my last one that I did over a year ago, was that work has been really stressful. I took a new position 2 years ago and it's just been a lot of adjustment and a lot of stress, and I haven't felt like doing one of these on my precious weekend time. But I'm hoping I can do more of these. If you guys have any suggestions or things that you want me to talk about, leave me a comment wherever you're watching this and just let me know, what are some things that you would like me to talk about? What are some topics that you would like me to talk about, or books that you want me to read, or anything that you think bears discussion, because I'm pretty much open to talking about anything. So I thought I would talk about some of the books that I've been reading, what I've been enjoying, some of the books I haven't enjoyed, and just talk about some of the things I've been reading lately. And I've read this year that I've liked. The first book is All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. Great name, Megan. Megan Miranda. Sorry, I had to say it. All the Missing Girls. And it is actually up for Goodreads Choice Award. I think this is in the thriller category. It is about a girl who is kind of run from her hometown. She kind of ran away from everything that she was growing up and is starting a new career and has a fiance, and everything seems to be going great until her hometown starts whispering to her that she needs to come back. Basically, her father is in a nursing home and her brother needs help kind of getting the house ready to sell. And when she gets there, all of her past kind of catches up to her. And the mystery in this book is that when she was growing up, her best friend in high school went missing and they've never found her and never found out what happened to her. And then when she's there, when she comes back, another woman goes missing, and I believe it's almost 10 years to the date that her best friend goes missing. And so the mystery of who did it and what happened is told in reverse from day 15 to day 1, and that's how the story unfolds. Thought it was a good, solid book, and I would totally recommend it. I also listened to the audiobook and I loved it. I thought it was great, so if you haven't read it, check it out. If you follow my blog, you probably heard me carrying on and on about this book earlier this year. I finally read it. I believe it came out a few years ago. I can't remember when it came out, but one of my best friends read it and weeped and weeped, and I like emotional books. This is a different kind of emotional, but it is fantastic. 5-star read for me. It's about this boy who wakes up one day and decides that he's going to kill his best friend, former best friend, and then kill himself. And as you get through the book, you see why he wants to do that and what happened and what are his choices. And it's just a really sad story. It's very sad. Very, very sad, very dark, but beautifully written, very emotional. I hadn't read any of Matthew Quick's books, but I'm excited to read the rest because I know he's written quite a few. Check out this book, read it. If you haven't read it, I'll link to it in the down bar. Down bar? I don't know where I came up with that. Beautiful by Christina Lauren. I thought this book was so much fun. I thought it was a good ending to the Beautiful Bastard series. Will still has my heart. He's still my favorite of the guys. This is Jensen, Hannah's brother, and Pippa, who is Ruby's friend. This is their story. And basically, just a quick rundown of what the book is about. Jensen's like this high-powered transactional attorney, and Pippa is an engineer, and she's just kind of free-spirited all over the place. And she finds out her boyfriend is cheating on her and decides that she needs a break. So she goes to Boston, and who do you think she meets up with? Ruby and Noel. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Noel. And Hannah and Will and Sarah and Max and Chloe and Bennett. And of course, Jensen. They all convince Jensen to join in on their road trip down New England as they go on a winery tour. And of course, everybody is paired up except for Jensen and Pippa. And I think you know what's going to happen in that situation, but it's fun. You have Hannah and Will and Ruby and Noel. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I'm actually listening to the audiobook right now, and I can't remember how they pronounce that dude. So I'm just going to call him Noel. I don't know. It was just a really fun book. It was really sweet, but I don't want to give too much away. But this is beautiful by Christina Lauren. You should check this out too, because I really liked it. Jay Asher's book, What Light, came out last month. And it is a holiday young adult romance. And it's about this girl named Sierra. Her family owns a Christmas farm in Oregon, and every year they travel to California to sell their trees. And so she kind of has best friends in both Oregon and California because she's been going there so many years. This year might be the last year that her family gets to go to California. And so while she's there this time, she meets a guy named Caleb, and from what the townspeople have told her is that he kind of has a bad reputation, and she finds out why he has a bad reputation, but she kind of really starts to like him anyway, despite that, and despite his faults. And he really beats up on himself for what happened. She just kind of struggles with what to do with her feelings, because this might be the last year that she is going to California. He obviously lives here, and she lives in Oregon, so what is she going to do? When I read the book, actually listened to the audiobook, I just felt like it was just really hollow, and it didn't really have anything special for me to remember it by. So I didn't really connect with the story or the characters, and I didn't really like the book, to be honest. That's What Light by Jay Asher. Give it a try if you want to. The next two books that I want to talk about, if you follow my blog, then you know that I found one of my favorite romance books of the year, a new author to me, and that is Can I See You Again by Allison Morgan. And I actually just did a giveaway for this book on my blog, and it ended on Friday, so if you didn't enter, then it's too late, sorry. But I'm trying to do more giveaways for books that I just really liked, and I did one for Results May Vary, and I did it for this one. I'm going to do it for another one soon, and I did a question and answer with both authors, with Bethany Chase for Results May Vary, and with Allison Morgan for Can I See You Again. And she was super nice and actually sent me copies of both of her books, Can I See You Again, and her first novel, The Sunday Jar, which I have not read yet, but I'm very excited to read, because in my interview with her, she spoke very eloquently, and I really liked what she had to say about The Sunday Jar. So if you haven't read our interview, you can check that out. There are no spoilers for Can I See You Again or this book in the interview, so if you're leery about reading it because of spoilers, there aren't any spoilers, so don't worry about it. But first I'm going to talk to you about Can I See You Again. I will tell you a little bit about this book because I just thought it was such a fun women's fiction romance book. We have this woman named Bree, and she's a matchmaker, and she's really, really good at her job. She has a 98% success rate, and she actually has a book coming out in the book within a book, about her matchmaking adventures and how to find love. And in order for her book to do well, she really has to amp up the publicity. And one of the things that they want her to do is to talk about her own love life. Well, there's only one problem because her boyfriend just broke up with her. And so Bree recruits her one matchmaking failure, the guy that she can't seem to find any lady for, Nixon, to be her fake boyfriend throughout this process. And it is so funny, it's so cute, and it just left me with a huge smile on my face. These two are really funny. One of the teasers that I made had this quote on it in this moment, and I just really liked it. Thought it was really funny. So Bree and Nixon in the very beginning of the book are talking about kind of her strategy and giving him tips on how to take a lady out properly, and he's kind of not having it. And she goes, "Let's be honest. I tuck my hair behind my ears and drop my elbows on my thick glass desk. You're not here because your mom said so. You're here because you're a 35-year-old man with no one to share your life, Your house is cold and sterile. There's probably expired milk in your fridge, and more than likely, gray hairs are sprouting up in inappropriate places. Your comfort zone is shrinking, and at the end of the day, you're alone. Shit, Bree, don't sugarcoat it. Give it to me straight. I liked that moment. But yeah, check out this book. It's really fun. I just bought this yesterday for the giveaway winner, and it was, I believe, $9 and some change. So $9, Amazon, paperback. The Kindle copy is more than the paperback, so if you want to buy it, buy the paperback. The next book I'm going to talk about is Amy Harmon's upcoming historical fiction, historical romance, From Sand and Ash, which comes out on December 1st. I read this last week and I liked it. It's set during World War II in Italy. The book really centers on the Catholic Church's role in helping Jews who were being basically taken away in Auschwitz and other places from being killed or murdered on the streets. And there was kind of this network of people within the Catholic Church who helped them escape. I had no idea about this part of history, or if I did, I forgot about it. Our two main characters are Ava and Angelo. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. She is a Jewish girl who is a violinist, and Angelo is Catholic and has always planned on going to seminary. And so there are several reasons why they can't be together, but they grew up together, and she is in love with him and he loves her, but he has chosen to commit his life to God, and so he's chosen to become a priest over being with her, because that is he feels like his calling, and what God has called him to do is to be a priest. Well, you know, they grew up in a time before all of the new laws restricting what Jews can do, and so then as those laws started becoming more and more restrictive, these laws started to come into effect. Ava's life and the life of her family becoming dangerous for her to stay where she was, and so Angelo decides to go get her. She lives in Florence, he lives in Rome, and take her to where he is so that he can protect her and basically fulfill the promise that he made to her father. The story is about having faith and hope in really dark times, but it's also about love, and how kind of love is the one constant in your life throughout their entire lives. It's always been about love. I would recommend this book. I liked it. I really enjoyed reading about the historical aspect of the whole novel. So my review for this will be up soon, but if you're a huge Amy Harmon fan, definitely check this out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And the next is The Careful Undressing of Love by Corianne Haydu. This book comes out at the end of January, so this is a little early for me to be talking about this. But this book took me completely by surprise. I had never read anything by this author before, but it was so beautifully written, and it's a very interesting story and plot. The book is set in a reimagined version of New York City, specifically in Brooklyn, and it's set on a street called Devonair Street. And what you learn about Devonair Street is that the street is supposedly cursed. All of the boys that the girls on Devonair Street fall in love with end up dying in some way. The book is set in 2008, 7 years after the New York City bombings. So in the book, it's the New York City bombings that happened, not 9/11. This event in history for these characters has significance. But the book is about grief and love. It was just a very thought-provoking novel. So you have the bombings, and our main character Lorna's father passed away and was killed in these bombings. And the way that the country has dealt with this tragedy is every Tuesday they have a minute of silence, and instead of really focusing on the victims of this tragedy, the country has actually focused a lot on the affected, so the victims' families. So everyone is kind of in this mandated period of mourning. It's very interesting, and our main character has never really been able to deal with the death of her father in the way that she really wants to. Similarly, she hasn't been able to process any kind of feelings of love that she's had because of this so-called curse that she has kind of hanging over her head. And she and her friends haven't really ever truly believed in the curse until her best friend Delilah's boyfriend is killed in this freak car accident at the beginning of the book, which that's not a spoiler. that's in the synopsis. And so she's really exploring all of these big themes in this book, and it's just a really well-written novel. There's a lot of passages in here, of course, that you can see that I highlighted and that I tabbed, because they're just really beautiful moments. Let me find one of my favorite moments. So in this scene, Lorna is talking about Angelica, which is one of the elders on the street, who really tries to make sure that everybody understands that the curse is very real. And as part of the curse, there's all these traditions and rituals that all of the girls have to, and all the boys have to maintain. And the book goes into detail about those things. But it's like there's this mandated process that everybody has to go through in order to protect everyone from the curse. And so she's talking about Angelica, who is one of the older ladies on the street. Angelica said love is a thing that is or isn't. She also said love is a permanent state. There is no going back. And love is falling because there is a moment before you touch the ground when there is still hope. She has a lot to say about love, about love, but she never told us what we're meant to do in that moment before we've fully fallen. She calls it permanent and unstoppable, but asks us to stop it. She calls it true or false, but finds us when we're caught in between. I can't get the image out of my head of me hovering above the ground, wanting to stop myself but unable to fight gravity. Falling in love sounds violent when you get right down to it. The song ends and I start to feel sick, picturing my father in that same moment, the falling, 7 years ago, right before he hit the ground, wondering what he could do to stop it. Nothing, I think. He couldn't do anything at all. I loved that moment. I loved that quote. There's so many more that I could read. If you are a fan of kind of different coming of age stories, check this out. I really liked it. And the last book that I've read and I want to talk to you about is one of my favorites of the year, The Mothers by Brit Bennett. I am still kind of in awe that Brit Bennett is only 26 years old, because this book was so well written. Not that young people can't write well, but she spoke with such of a clear vision of who she is as a writer, and with such skill. It was just really fantastic. But basically, it's set in this small coastal town in Southern California, very religious town, and the book is narrated in part by kind of the church elders in the town, and they're kind of the ones that are always in your business and know everything about you and always snooping around and trying to figure out what's going on in your lives. But they're funny, but they have a lot of wisdom too. They've lived a long life, and they know how life goes, and the good and the bad. So that's kind of the mothers, and mothers kind of play a big role in the novel as you go along. But our main characters are Nadia Turner, Luke Shepard, and Aubrey Evans. And they kind of get caught in a treacherous love triangle, kind of, but not really. Kind of. I don't like saying the word love triangle because that turns people off, but their lives intersect with each other. I'll just put it that way. And at the very first couple pages, it's not a spoiler and I think it's in the synopsis, but Nadia Turner, there are rumors flying around town. After what she did, she sleeps with the pastor's son, Luke Shepard, and gets pregnant and goes to an abortion clinic to get rid of it. And this is not an anti-abortion or a pro-abortion type of book, so don't let that sway you, if it will sway you. But it's more of a catalyst and a beginning point for what that does to change their lives. And that's just one of the things in the book that happens that changes their lives. But that moment is kind of the beginning of everything for these characters. Highly recommend it. It's a literary fiction. It has a little bit of romance, so if you're a romance reader, it has a little bit of that, but it's not a romance. But I wanted to share with you one of my favorite moments, because apparently I'm doing that in all the books that I read. This is a really long passage, so maybe I shouldn't read the whole thing. Oh, what the heck. This is chapter 5. Oh, and I did listen to the audiobook actually for this one, and I bought the paperback. And the audiobook, if you're an audiobook reader, was fantastic. I can't remember the name of the lady who narrated. She was great. I'll have to look it up here, and I'll put it in the description in the post that I'll do for this accompanying video. We were girls once. As hard as that is to believe. Oh, you can't see it now. Our bodies have stretched and sagged, faces and necks drooping. That's what happens when you get old. Every part of you drops, as if the body is moving closer to where it's from and where it'll return. But we were girls once, which is to say, we have all loved an ain't shit man. No Christian way of putting it. There are two types of men in the world. Men who are, and men who ain't about shit. As girls, we've lived all over, sharecropping in the cotton fields of Louisiana until the humid air sucked our shirts to our backs, shivering in freezing kitchens while packing lunches for daddies heading to Ford plants, shuffling slowly over icy Harlem sidewalks, stuffing ripped fabric in coat pocket holes. Then we'd grown up and met men who wanted to bring us to California. Military men stationed out in Camp Pendleton who promised us marriage and babies and all that sunshine. But before we woke to pink clouds drifting over the coastline, before we found upper room in each other, before we were wives and mothers, we were girls and we loved ain't shit men. So that's a little bit about that, and one of my favorite quotes is one later here on down, but I won't read all of it. So that's The Mothers. Seriously, read this book. Read it. I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites of the year. And then I have a couple of books here that I haven't read yet, but I just got this one in the mail. I ordered it from Amazon. It's Our Song by Danny Adkins. And if you're a US follower reader, this book is not available in the US, which is why I ordered it from Amazon from a seller overseas. And I think I got this for like 80 cents, and the shipping was less than $4, so it was, yeah, I paid more for shipping than I did for the book, but I really wanted to read it. It looks really good. I'll link to the description and everything in the post. But I bought this because I liked Danny Adkins' novel that she published here in the US. I think she's published 2 here in the US, but the one I read earlier this year was The Story of Us. And I'll link to my review of that in the post as well. But I'm looking forward to reading this. This is a really thick book, really long, but it released, I think, earlier this year in the UK, and I can't wait to get to it. And then lastly, 2 books. Another author that I'm highly anticipating her book, Close Enough to Touch by Colleen Oakley, comes out in February. It's a women's fiction novel, and I'm super stoked to read it because I really enjoyed her debut, Before I Go. I really like this book. It came out at the beginning of 2015. It's a women's fiction novel about a woman named Daisy, and she has fought and won against cancer, and she's in the middle of her master's thesis. Her husband's a veterinarian. She's happy. They're happy. And then she finds out that her cancer has come back, and it's come back with a vengeance. It's very aggressive, and she realizes that she's probably going to die. And before she goes, she wants to find her husband someone for him to be able to spend the rest of his life with, since she's not going to be there for it. So it's very emotional and just a really good, really good novel. So I read that, immediately looked for what she was writing next, and I saw that she was coming out with this book. Whoops! And I cannot wait to read it. I just got this in the mail a few weeks ago, and I'm really excited. So I'll read the synopsis for you. One time a boy kissed me and I almost died. And so begins the story of Jubilee Jenkins, the girl who is allergic to human touch. A nearly fatal kiss in high school makes her realize she is not like everyone else. So, in heartbreaking fashion, she becomes a recluse, living in the confines of her home for 9 years. But after her mother dies, Jubilee is forced to face the world, and the people in it, that she's been hiding from. Jubilee finds safe haven at her local library, where she gets a job, and there she meets Eric Keegan, a divorced man who just moved to town with his brilliant, troubled adopted son. Eric's struggling to figure out how to be the dad and man he wants so desperately to be. Jubilee is unlike anyone he has ever met, yet she won't allow him to get close enough to touch her. So Eric sets out to convince Jubilee to open herself and her heart to everything life can offer, setting into motion the most unlikely love story of the year. So if that sounds good to you, you should add that to Goodreads and pre-order your copy. I can't wait to read it. I'm hoping I can get to it in the next few weeks, but I want to get through what I'm reading right now, which I'll get to that in a second. This is a really long video. I apologize. I have decided to go back and reread one of my favorite series, which is, if you guys follow my blog, you know that I have a slight problem with Rochelle Mead and how much I love her. In fact, this whole shelf right here, if I can move this stack of books, it's like all of my Rochelle Mead collection. I just started book 1 today. I think I've had it on my Goodreads as I was reading it for like a week, but I just actually got started on it today, and I'm just so enjoying getting back into Rose and Dimitri's crazy world. If you haven't read this series, it is so good. Lots of twists and turns. It has a great romance. Rose is a complete badass. Dimitri's super hot. And Rochelle Mead is just a fantastic storyteller. The series is a little bit of a commitment. It's 6 books, and then there is a spin-off series, which I have not read in its entirety. Hoping to do that. I wanted to do that this year. I don't know if that's going to get done, but such a good series, and I can't wait to get through the rest of it because I know what's going to happen, and I can't wait to feel all the feelings again. So this is what I'm reading right now. Woohoo! Rochelle Mead. Such a loser. Okay, so that was a really long video. I might have to edit some of this out. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this Sunday morning book chat. I'm hoping to do more of these. I actually have some more books that I want to talk to you about for next year that I'm excited about. And tell me what you're reading. What have you been loving? What books haven't worked for you? What are some books that you are looking forward to? Are there any books in this video that you thought, now I want to read that? I'm just curious. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week and read something good for me.